Hello. In the last class, we have discussed about the classification of materials, energy band diagram, semiconductor properties, charge carriers in semiconductor, and semiconductor versus metal. Now, in today's class, we will discuss on intrinsic and extrinsic semiconductor, the Fermi level in intrinsic and extrinsic semiconductor, and the mass action law with some short questions. So these are the topic to be discussed today. Now in intrinsic semiconductor, normally we find the conductivity is not exceptional because the number of electrons residing in the conduction band and the number of holes residing in the valence band are of equal number. Now this movement of electrons in the conduction band are due to thermal agitation. The electrons in the valence band are acquiring sufficient energy from its ambient temperature, and that is why they are moving into the conduction band. So therefore generation of electron are producing equal amount of holes. So there is a balance between the number of holes and number of electrons in the intrinsic semiconductor. Here in this figure, it is showing that there is a small amount of energy gap exists between the conduction band and valence band, and the germanium atom is taken for semiconductor, which is showing some covalent bonds exist. So how it has been formed? As we know, germanium has 4 number of electrons in the valence band. They are trying to make the outer orbit filled with 8 number of electrons. So that is why each of these electron in the valence band are making covalent bond with another germanium atom. So in this way, there are 4 number of covalent bonds exist for outermost 4 number of electrons for every germanium atom. And here in this figure, it is showing that 2 number of electron are involved in covalent bonding. So therefore, for each of the germanium atom are attached with 4 number of neighboring germanium atoms. In another figure, it is showing that suppose a battery is connected to the semiconductor. So if we draw 2 metallic terminal from a semiconductor, and if we apply the voltage through that battery, so what will happen in the semiconductor, as the electrons or holes both are present in the conduction band and the valence band respectively, electrons will be attracted towards the positive voltage, and the holes will be attracted towards the negative voltage of the battery. So therefore both of them are responsible for production of the current. So one will be called hole current, another will be called the current due to electron. So therefore total current in the semiconductor will be the summation of the current due to hole and the current due to electron. It is showing by a mathematical relation in the slide. Now the impure semiconductor are also termed as extrinsic semiconductor. If we add some doping impurity to the pure semiconductor, then this type of impure semiconductor may be formed. There are 2 kind of doping. One is called pentavalent atom doping. Another is the trivalent atom doping. So how it is working, we can explain in this way, that suppose if you consider there is a pentavalent atom such as arsenic. So if we dope arsenic into the pure semiconductor in such a fashion that 1 arsenic atom for every 10 to the power 8 number of germanium atom, then what will happen, each of these arsenic atom will make covalent bond with neighboring 4 number of germanium atom, as it is shown in the figure. So there are 5 number of, as it is a pentavalent, it has 5 number of valence electron. So out of 5 number of valence electron, 4 number of electron are making covalent bond with germanium neighboring atom. Therefore each of these arsenic are having 8 number of electron at its outermost orbit, and 1 electron will be excess. So this excess electron will be easily freed, and it will move into the conduction band. So therefore, such doping process of pentavalent atom into semiconductor will produce plenty amount of free electrons, and these free electrons are moving into the conduction band. And one thing we should remember, that this generation of electron are not making another pair of hole in the valence band. So there is no such hole pair for every generated electron. So therefore, obviously the concentration of hole is much less compared to the concentration of electron in case of this type of semiconductor, that is pentavalent doping process. So such semiconductor which is having plenty of electrons in the conduction band are known as n-type semiconductor, where n normally defined as the electron concentration in the semiconductor, in this extrinsic semiconductor. In the right hand side also we can visualize there is a Fermi energy level gap, that is 1.12 electron volt, it is showing between the conduction band and valence band, where the Fermi energy level is much closer to the conduction band, as here plenty of electrons are residing as free charge carrier in the conduction band. At the bottom, it is showing that due to thermal agitation, plenty of electrons which are moving into the conduction band, and there are little amount of holes are also present. Now, as electrons which are moving into the conduction band, they are making the corresponding doping element as positive ion, and it is also known as the immobile positive ion. So here antimony is shown as the doping element. So these positive antimony atoms are also known as donor atoms or donor ions. So whenever a doping is done by pentavalent impurity, the donor positive ions are generated, which are covered by electron in the semiconductor under the thermal equilibrium established. Another type of extrinsic semiconductor is the p-type semiconductor. Here in this figure it is showing that indium is used as doping element, where indium has 3 number of valence electron because it's a trivalent element. So 3 number of valence electron will produce 3 number of covalent bond and another covalent bond which is made with a neighboring germanium atom, where there is no electron contribution from indium, but there is a vacant space for the electron is produced in the covalent bond. So therefore this vacant space, which could be occupied by a free electron, is known as the hole. So generation of hole is produced in this way by doping trivalent atom in a semiconductor, and the doped semiconductor is termed as p-type semiconductor, where p is the symbol of hole concentration in the valence band for such extrinsic semiconductor. In the right hand side it is showing that the difference between conduction band and valence band still exists as the energy gap, and here the Fermi energy level is much closer to the valence band, because here the generation of hole is much large compared to generation of any free electron, because there is no process of generation of free electron, but still due to thermal agitation some electron may be present in the conduction band, but due to doping there are plenty of holes present in the valence band. And at the bottom it is showing that the aluminum atom which is used as trivalent doping element are becoming negatively charged because of the presence of the holes. So these negatively charged immobile ions which are the doping element are termed as the acceptor atoms or acceptor ions. So each of these acceptor ions, as it is shown in the bottom figure, are covered by holes which are shown by red dots. Now this is the Fermi-Dirac equation, which is one of the most important equation which tells us how the conductivity of the semiconductor varies depending on temperature. From the equation it is very much clear that f of E, where E is the energy state which is occupied by electrons, the probability of occupancy of a given energy state E by an electron EF is the energy of Fermi energy level, and capital T is the absolute temperature, K is the Boltzmann constant, which is 1.38 into 10 to the power 23 minus 23. Now, suppose you consider the energy state which is occupied by the electron reaches the Fermi energy level, then what will happen? So, under the condition E equal to EF, the whole expression resembles into half numerical value. So, probability of occupancy of electron in a particular energy state E, when E is the Fermi energy level, is equal to 50%. That is, the probability reaches 50% or numerically half under the positive temperature, obviously T greater than 0. Now let us consider the T equal to 0 case, that is the absolute 0 temperature, under which there are two situations: either the occupancy of electron in a particular energy state is more than Fermi energy level, or it is less than Fermi energy level. So for the first case, it is showing that f of E becomes 0. That means if the energy occupied by the electron is more than Fermi energy level, then the semiconductor does not have free electron in the conduction band, and that is obvious. At absolute 0, there is no free electron residing in the semiconductor conduction band. But for E less than EF, that is, if the energy state is less than Fermi energy level, then at absolute 0, we see f of E is equal to 1. That means the semiconductor has all electrons residing in the valence band. That means the probability of occupancy of electron in the valence band is 1. That is the total probability under the absolute 0. So therefore, at absolute 0, as there is no free electron in the conduction band, the semiconductor behaves as an insulator. So this is an important conclusion derived from this Fermi-Dirac equation. The Fermi energy level in an intrinsic semiconductor, if we see pictorially, it is showing that red is the conduction level energy and the blue is the valence energy level, valence band energy level. The difference is Eg, that means the forbidden energy gap. The Fermi energy level resides simply at the middle of this red and blue strips. Why? Because in case of intrinsic semiconductor, the generation of free electron are due to thermal agitation. That is, thermally agitated electrons in the covalent bond breaks and moves into the conduction band. So therefore, each of these generated electrons are making a pair of hole in the valence band. So number of hole in the valence band and number of electrons in the conduction band for intrinsic semiconductor are almost equal. That is why the Fermi energy level is at the middle of this band gap energy. There is a mathematical equation that is showing the electron concentration in the conduction band is equal to Nc into e to the power minus of Ec minus Ef divided by Kt, where capital N suffix C is the effective density of state in the in the conduction band. Similarly, for the whole concentration P, Nv stands for the effective density of states in the valence band. So if we equate this N and P, because the number of electrons in the conduction band and number of holes in the valence band for intrinsic semiconductor are same. So therefore, the Fermi energy level expression we can get on the right hand side, as it is showing, the first term is the average of the conduction and valence band energy, and the second term is a natural log of the ratio of the energy state in the conduction band, effective density of energy state in the conduction band and valence band. Now this is the Fermi energy level in the extrinsic semiconductor. It is shown for N-type as well as P-type. In case of N-type, it is clear that Fermi energy level is much closer to the conduction band, and for the P-type, the Fermi energy level is much closer to the valence band. These are because of the dominating charge carrier is in which region. Depending on that, the Fermi level is closer to that band. Now the mass action law states that the product of the electron concentration and hole concentration in a semiconductor is equal to square of the intrinsic charge carrier concentration. In case of intrinsic semiconductor, we already have seen that the number of electrons in the conduction band and number of holes in the valence band are same. That is why the concentration of electron and hole in the intrinsic semiconductor are same. But in a particular semiconductor, whether it is N-type or P-type, it is obvious that in N-type semiconductor, holes are absent is not a true statement, because there might have a hole as minority carrier present in the N-type semiconductor. There might have electrons present in the P-type semiconductor as minority carrier. So holes and electrons both are present in N-type or P-type semiconductor respectively as minority carrier. So that is why when we are taking the product N0 and P0, that means suppose if it is an N-type semiconductor, then N0 is the carrier concentration of the dominating charge carrier, and P0 is the carrier concentration of the minority charge carrier. So if we take their product, that will be square of its intrinsic carrier concentration, and this proof can be easily done by few mathematical steps as shown above, where N0 and P0 both are having expression. We have brought the Fermi energy level of the intrinsic carrier, intrinsic semiconductor in both the equation, and we manipulated some expression. If we take those product, they will resemble into the square of Ni, as it is shown at the end of the proof. There are few multiple choice questions. The first is which of the following element does not have 5 valence electrons? Here the examples are given: phosphorus, arsenic, antimony and indium. We know indium is a trivalent element, so therefore it does not have 5 number of electrons in its valence band. The second question states that the following atoms can act as donor in silicon. Donor means it might be pentavalent impurity. So there are options: phosphorus, aluminum, gallium and indium. As phosphorus is a pentavalent impurity, therefore the correct option is A. Question number 3 is the Fermi level of an N-type semiconductor lies near the conduction band edge, near the valence band edge, at the middle of the forbidden gap, and none of these. Now, since for N-type semiconductor, electron is the dominating charge carrier and that resides in the conduction band, therefore the correct option is A, that is near the conduction band edge, the Fermi level lies. Question number 4 states, as the doping to a pure semiconductor increases, the bulk resistance of the semiconductor remains the same, increases, decreases, and none of the above. More is the doping concentration, more will be the conductivity, less will be the resistivity. Therefore the bulk resistance of the semiconductor decreases. A hole and electron in close proximity would tend to repel each other, attract each other, have no effect on each other. So here the correct answer is attract each other, because electron and hole are opposite charge carrier. So at a close proximity they must attract each other, they will try to recombine. In a semiconductor, current conduction is due to only holes, only free electrons, holes and free electrons, none of the above. Obviously the answer is 3, because holes and electrons both are contributing current separately, holes in the valence band and free electrons in the conduction band. Therefore total current is due to holes and electrons. The 7th question states that the random motion of hole and free electron due to thermal agitation is called diffusion, pressure, ionization, none of the above. The correct answer is diffusion. The 8th question is, at room temperature, an intrinsic semiconductor has many holes only, a few free electrons and holes, many free electrons and no holes or free electrons. The answer is 2, that is a few free electrons and holes, because at room temperature the presence of electrons and holes are less, because more is the temperature, more will be the generation of the electrons and holes, and more will be the conductivity in case of intrinsic semiconductor. At absolute temperature, in intrinsic semiconductor has a few free electrons, many holes, many free electrons, and none of the above. At absolute temperature, as you know, that there is no free electron resides in the conduction band. All the electrons are coming to the valence band. So therefore, it is not true that few free electrons will be present. It is not true that many holes are present. It is not true that many free electrons are present. That is why the fourth option is correct, none of the above, because there is no free electron at absolute zero in a pure semiconductor. In the next class, we will discuss about the drift and diffusion current, charge neutrality in semiconductor, Einstein relationship in semiconductor. Thank you.